Hi friends, welcome back to my Flosstube. My name is Sarah and my channel is the Rocking Chair Stitcher. If you're new here, thanks for checking my channel out. And if you've been around for a while, thanks for hanging on. This is, I think I've been away for about 5.5 months. It was not an intended break, but life and so I have my tea here. I am drinking apple cinnamon and then peppermint tea mixed, and then frothed almond milk with cinnamon and a little bit of salt. So I have a lot of stitching to show you, several finishes that aren't fully finished but that the stitching's finished. I have some stitchy kindness, and I have a nice size pile, you might be able to see behind me, of some whips. So I will just give you a little backstory of where I've been and what's been going on, or some of what's been going on, and then we'll just jump right in. I am not going to do haul because over the last 5.5 months, I've not bought very much, but I've bought a few patterns here and there online on Etsy. And then I've bought, some random fabric here or there to supply for projects I'm working on, but I've not done a ton of haul. I'm trying to work from my stash and use a lot of free patterns, things like that. So anyway, so there's not much to show you as far as haul, so I didn't bother trying to collect all that. I had notes that I wrote out earlier this week, planning to film earlier, and then we got sick. So toddler carried the notes off. So this is my attempt, because I've been trying to find a good time for months to sit down, so we're just gonna go with it. But life has been really good, really full. We had our car broke down, and thankfully that got fixed. And then we purchased a new to us vehicle. So I now have wheels. So that gives me some independence, which is really nice. We were making it work for a while with one car, but it is very helpful to have two, which gives us a lot more seats in this second vehicle, calling it my mom mobile. So then I can cart other kids around, or hopefully soon cart more of our kids around. So that's been a big piece of why I've been gone. In April, we started the process with paperwork to adopt again. And this is something, I think my channel is 2 years old now, or 3. I don't remember for sure. But when I first started my channel, I talked about we were in the process to adopt again, and that got paused because of some different situations going on in life that had to be worked out, and just some different things going on. So anyway, we paused the process when we lived in Nova Scotia still, and we weren't moving forward with an adoption at that point. Fast forward 2 or 3 years, whatever it's been now, and we started our home study update in April and May, and we officially became adopt ready for Ontario, the way Ontario's adoptions work, in June. So July. So like a week and a half ago, we became officially adopt ready. So the last 2.5-ish months have been paperwork and running around getting like police checks and fingerprinting and background checks and medical paperwork and stuff to prove that we were healthy enough to have kids, and all this kind of stuff. So that has been the last couple of months, as well as 2 big family gatherings on both sides of Josh's family. What else? Let's see. Lots of heat. It's been a hot summer here. It reminds me a lot actually of down south where I grew up in the US. Lots of gardening. We put in 12 raised beds this spring and filled them all. So I'll show you, hopefully at the beginning or the end of this video, I'll edit in some pictures and maybe even a video of the gardens. And then wrapping up our renovation. So there's like detail stuff still, like some trim and things like that. Not some, all the trim that has to be done at a later date, but the major stuff is done. I moved into our kitchen beginning of April, so I will try to add in a clipper, picture, whatever, also of that. Let's see what else has been going on. We had a week-long intensive of medical appointments for our son. Nothing like, not medical like he's in danger, hurt kind of medical, but like occupational therapy and physiotherapy. And we stayed in the city where the appointments were. And so every day for 5 days, he had 3 hours of therapies a day. And that was really cool because he started to crawl, like the reciprocal movement kind of crawling, not bum scooching kind of crawl, which is really important for a lot of different things firing in the brain properly for later on for reading and writing. So he's already walking, but so he actually went backwards and crawling, but it hasn't hindered his walking at all. It's actually helped his balance. So that's just been like a tiny little taste of what the last 5 or so months have been. At first I was worried because I was like, I'm not getting out a bi-weekly or a monthly video. And then I thought, you know, like, this is my hobby. I enjoy this and I want to keep enjoying it and not make it a job. And so even though I design patterns, put them on my Etsy shop, it's for fun and I enjoy it. And so I'll put out videos when I can and not worry about too much of a schedule from that. So thanks for hanging in there with me. I am in our camper right now in our backyard. Josh and my son Justin are inside, and hopefully he's going down for a nap, but they're having some Papa Justin time, so they'll figure that out. But so I wanted some quiet time, and I thought, you know, the best place to do it is probably come out to the camper. So that is a little life update. We don't know timeline wise yet when we'll get our next kid or kiddos. But it could be, you know, a couple of weeks to a month, or it could be years. And that just leaves a whole big open wide doors of, we're just gonna see what happens. At this point, we are trying to adopt through the public system with Child and Family Services here in Ontario. And if you're from here, you might know a bit about the system. Everybody we talk with, as far as specialists, like social workers and people working in the system and stuff, you get different answers for everything. So it's clear as mud. So I've stopped trying to explain the process as much as to say, we're praying, we're excited, we're hopeful, and we'll see what happens. And there's always the option to adopt privately an infant if we want to do fundraising and go that route. But we're just still really kind of weighing out our options. And if there's kiddos already in the foster care system who we could be a family to possibly, that's the route we're looking at right now. Nothing wrong with the other option as well. We're just trying this option first and see what happens. So yeah, that is a snippet of what's been going on the last 4.5, 5, whatever it is now, months. But we're doing well, and I've missed Flosstube. I've missed you guys, and I've missed talking to you in the comments, and I've been kind of active on Instagram, but honestly, I've missed a lot of those conversations that I usually would have over there too. So I've just kind of been absent. So hopefully I'll be back a little bit more often, but we're in that season of life that it may not be. So we'll see. But I figured I would come to you today and share with you what I have. So I've rambled for almost 10 minutes. So I'm just going to get started. So I have some Stitchy kindness that has been sitting, well, it's been hanging on my wall actually in our bedroom. I put it up for Easter, but then I've just left it up, and I literally just took it off the wall today to show you. So it's being well displayed. So this was from the Canada swap that happened back in the winter time. So I received this from Joanne. I'm sorry, Joanne, if you see this, Boudry or Beaudry, I'm not sure how to say her name. So she is near Ottawa. And so she's who had me for the swap. And she sent me the sweetest stitch. And very impressed with the finishing. This is one reason I love, I'm gonna open the door here. This one reason I love swaps is to see how people finish things, because then it's very inspiring to me to get out of my comfort zone and try something new. So this has been hanging on my wall for the last, I guess, 4 months or something like that. So it's really pretty. And the piece is from an Etsy shop called Garden Bunt. I'll try to put it on the screen. And I don't believe that it has the actual name of the stitch, but I think I looked it up on the Etsy shop when she sent this, and I believe it might just be called Bunny or Rabbit, like a very simple name, but I could be wrong. But if you look it up her Etsy shop, I'm sure you'll see it on there. So I'll show it to you one more time. So I believe, Karen, if you see this, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the theme for that swap was we let them know what a favorite color was, whether it was a specific DMC or just like general like green or whatever. And so I had mentioned that I really love like blush pink. So I would say she thoroughly delivered. So that was super lovely to receive. And she also sent along a pattern and a really pretty tea towel, but you're actually sitting on the tea towel to keep the phone balanced. So I'm not going to pull that out. But and then the other thing I received was a stitch from Karen, the Stitching Owl. So I participated in a swap last summer, but unfortunately something came up and the person who got me for the swap was not able to send their stitch, which is okay. That's life. So Karen very generously stitched me something. So she stitched me this adorable Midnight Owl stitching pattern. And I can't remember if it's called Midnight Owl. I couldn't remember the name, and I did not bring the card with me. It's still upstairs where I had it displayed, but I'll try to put it on the screen or else in the description. But it cracked me up because, and maybe Karen did this very fittingly, but it very much fits what I know of her to be, a late night stitcher in the middle of the night. So I thought that was quite cute. So this has been on display upstairs. And so it's really cool because I had not seen this. I've seen this online, but I've never seen it in person. So this way of displaying it, it sits really nicely on its own. So I would like to try out this finishing for maybe some pieces on my mantle for Christmas for a display. I feel like would be really pretty. So anyway, thank you, Karen. I know it's been months. I think I shared this on my Instagram, so you guys may have already seen it. But it is getting lots of love. So that was really sweet to receive as well. So I think that's what I've got for my Stitchy kindness. And if someone else sent me something I've forgotten, I am so sorry. So now I will show you my finishes and my fully finished items. So I have been still designing in the background. I design far faster than I could stitch up my own work. But I design in the middle of the night when I can't sleep occasionally. That's usually when I start designing, and Josh will wake up, 2 in the morning. You okay? Oh yeah, just drawing, So anyway, that's when a lot of my designs come to life. So I have a fair bit of my own patterns. So I'm going to show you those first, and then I'm going to just show you some other finishes I have as well going on that I'm really excited about. I am still trying. So I'm going to see if I can remember her YouTube name because I have fallen behind on watching Flosstubes, but I think it's Amy at Renewing Stitches and Karen the Stitching Owl that I am doing, trying to cross stitch 25 ornaments in 2025. And now I'm not going to promise I'm going to get them all finished in 2025. I don't even know if I'll make 25 total, but I'm working really hard trying. So maybe I'll show you those actually first, and then I'll show you some of my own patterns that I finished. So I got to go to Stitch It Central. I was headed into London for an appointment for my son, London, Ontario, and had asked Karen about which store, and she let me know that one, and I was very excited to get to go. I called ahead and asked, because I had never been there, so I didn't know the size of it or anything. I asked if they had like a buggy that I could put Justin in and strap him in, like with the buckle and all that, so that he couldn't be taking things off the shelves. Well, it's a smaller building than that, so there's no buggies or anything. But they said that they had a little toy section or something like that for him. And so we decided to go ahead and go on in. It was just Justin and I that day. So they were so kind. I don't remember her name, but there was a sweet lady that she came around the counter while I was trying to, get the different floss off my list that I was looking for. And she was pushing a box and unloading stuff. And she just took Justin right along with her, and he helped her push her box, and she kept him entertained. And it was the sweetest thing. So I would definitely recommend going there, even if you have a little that you're trying to juggle. And I think if they have their hands free enough. Oh, there's some wind. We're supposed to be getting some rain, so we'll see if that gets really loud. But if they have their hands free, I think they would be very happy to help you with your little ones. So that gave me a chance to get to shop. And then I got a Mill Hill kit, which was really exciting. This is a sweet little teddy bear, and I'm loving the beading. Really enjoying that. So we refer to our son as Little Bear. So this is his ornament for this year. So if you know, I would love to know in the comments, if you know of a good tutorial that you've read or watched that thoroughly explains how to finish Mill Hill kits into ornaments, like how they do it. My imagination usually is pretty good, but I cannot think of how to finish these. And I have another one finished already that I'm waiting to gift to someone, but I haven't figured out how to finish it. And I Googled finishing Mill Hill kits on YouTube or whatever, and I wasn't really finding a lot of options. I don't know if I'm just typing in the wrong thing. So if you know of a good tutorial, please let me know. I would absolutely love to finish these this summer so that they're ready to go. So that's my one ornament for trying to finish 25. And then this one is going to be finished into a tiny little ornament. So this is just my own little pattern. It doesn't even have a name. This stemmed from, I did in the winter, I made an entire back stitch pillow, like a little mini one, but all back stitching, called Winter Symmetry. So this is actually, I was playing around with the idea of taking the back stitch pattern I created and turning it into a cross stitch pattern as well, because I know not everyone loves back stitch. So that is what this turned out to be. And I thought, oh, it reminds me of a snowflake, you know? So I think I'm going to finish it into a tiny little pillow that hangs for an ornament. And if you've been around my channel for very long at all, you know that I love gifting stitching. So this will probably be one of my Christmas gifts. This year, I think I'm just leaning towards doing ornaments for like each of my siblings. And I don't think they watch this. I don't think they'll know that. If they do, that's what you're getting for Christmas. So I like to send something small in the mail if I can. So everybody will probably get an ornament this year and kind of try to customize it to something they're interested in. So gonna have a frothed milk mustache for you. So this was, I'm sorry guys, I had my notes with all the names of the patterns and stuff, and then I set them down and then my toddler got them. So I do not have all the names, but I will put them on the screen if I can find them. This is from, I'm really taking advantage of going on the Libby app and looking at different cross stitch magazines on the iPad. And this was a sweet little ornament pattern I found on there. And I can't tell the way I have my camera if this is going to be backwards or not, but if it is backwards, it says joy. So this will also be finished. I think I'm going to steer away from my fringing style. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I do a lot of my Christmas ornaments in that I finish it with another piece of Ada on the back, or Lugana if that's what I had used, and then I fringe the edges out and then make a little hanger. But I think I'm going to try sewing some of these up. So we'll see how much time I have. So that one I thought was super sweet, and it reminds me of a very vintage look. And actually I had forgotten this. I don't remember the names of the types of stitches, but this has some different stitches in it. I'm trying to get it to focus there, which I had never done before. So I just YouTubed each one, like little shorts, and it's not showing up very well when I get close. I don't remember if this was called an eyelet stitch or what. So it's a very simple little ornament, but it took quite a bit of time, you know, learning how to do each of those. So that was really fun to try something new. So I definitely want to look for some more patterns that have specifically these. They're like eyelet stitches or something like that. But anyway, so I think I'm at 3 ornaments now on my count. So then this one, I don't think it's what the character's name was called. It was just something mouse in another free pattern in the magazine, but I've been calling her Sophie Mouse. I don't know why. I'm wondering if there's a book series or something I remember from a kid with that name, but I thought it was so sweet. So I will try to include the pattern details down below too. So this was a free one in another cross stitch magazine on the Libby app. And honestly, like if you have access to that app, it is such a nice way of getting Christmas ornament patterns for free. So I also found in there recently Stitchrovia's You Have Bewitched Me Body and Soul. So I had stitched that a while back, but I found 2 more in one of the magazines by Stitchrovia, and their patterns were in there for free as well. So definitely worth looking into if you have the option. So then this one is along the idea of doing fun ornaments for family members. My family loved the movie Elf, and so this is one I found online. I will include the shop name down below with the name of the pattern. So it says Cotton-Headed Ninny Muggins, which is, if you're not familiar, is a line from a Christmas movie called Elf with Will Ferrell. And it was a movie we discovered, I think, when I was in high school. And that was something, growing up in a large family with 7 kids, when we watched the movie like 1 or 2 times, we all seemed to memorize different parts. And that's how we actually spoke to each other, was in movie lines. So it would be just as normal for me to be called a Cotton-Headed Ninny Muggins as it would be to be called Sarah in my family. So anyway, when I saw it online, it made me giggle. So I'm actually working on a Home Alone themed one right now, which you'll see in my whips too. That's kind of funny like that as well. So those are my ornaments. So how many are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ornaments. So we're 5 of 25, and then we're halfway through the year. But I've got another one in my whip pile, maybe 2 more in my whip pile. I'm not sure. I'll have to look. So we'll get there, or at least that's the attempt. So those are my ornaments, and then some other finishes that I finished. This is one I created for Easter. And, you know, I had hoped to be on here much sooner and talk about it, but that is life. So it says, he is risen indeed. So this is just a really simple small for Easter time. So that was really nice to stitch. And I'm hoping to stitch it into a little pillow. And I'm hoping by next year I'll have a spot in my living room that's a little more decorative area that I know my toddler can't get into, and I can change out the seasonal items. But I'm just now getting pictures and artwork hung on the wall in the kitchen and the bathroom, so it's coming. It takes time. So this one is another little pattern I designed, inspired by a friend's birthday party that was all floral theme. And I thought, oh yeah, I want to stitch a bouquet of flowers. So, and then I have this one you might have seen come out in the winter time. So if you're familiar with everything going on politically, which I'm not interested in discussing politics on my channel and don't want to be all about that by any means. And if someone else does it, that's great. That's on them. But cross-stitching is my hobby. It is my stress relief. But I do feel a strong sense of pride in my permanent residency in Canada, and one day will be my citizenship here. I now love living in Canada and love Canada. It's not a perfect country, no country is, but I feel very strongly. So this winter I stitched the True North Strong and Free. And I am undecided how I want to finish this. If I want to finish it into a patriotic project bag that would then have my patriotic stitching in it, or I'm not sure yet. So this one was a lot of fun to design. It was out of my comfort zone. I'm really working on stitching things and designing things that are not all symmetrical. My brain wants everything to be perfectly even and symmetrical when I design. And I do that most of the time, but it's also fun to just like, you know, let the letters flow, you know, it's okay. So, or do like this ribbon up top, but not on the sides of the bottom. Like just go a little rogue. So this one was a challenge to my brain, but I'm really glad I did it, and I really enjoyed designing and stitching it. So any of the patterns that I mentioned are also up in my Etsy shop, and you are welcome to purchase a PDF if you want. I don't sell any paper patterns, and I will link that down below if you're interested. So then I have my newest series, which I'm really excited about. I changed course after the first one on the fabric I chose. So I went from, I think 14 or 18 count. Oh goodness, guys, I've not brought my notes, so I can't remember what I switched to either. 14 or 16 count, maybe out to a 20 count. Anyway, you'll see a difference here. But these are my Woodland Market series. They're the start. So this is Sweet as Honey. And he's selling his pots of honey at his honey stand in the Woodland Market. And this is Fox's Apple Cart. And he's selling his 3 varieties of apples. And I am very pleased with them, even though I changed fabric. So this is the new fabric. I wanted them to be a bit smaller. I kind of like the difference. This one is actually going, so this is my small for the next Canada Swaps, which is themed for seasons. And I got someone whose favorite season is autumn, which is also mine. So I'm excited to see what I get for my autumn stitch. So this one is going to be making its way to a new friend soon. So I might have to stitch a second one so I have a friend for Sweet as Honey. But I've really enjoyed stitching these, and I have several more critters that I'm going to be stitching as well to add to the series, so that the market can grow. So these have been really fun to stitch. They've been really fun to design, and just add the little details, and yeah. So those are also in my shop as well. And then I have one more finish. This is what happens when I've been gone for so long. I have lots of finishes. So I have one more finish that I am looking for the perfect frame for currently. And I am not in the season of life where my budget allows me to go and get things professionally framed yet. One day maybe. But right now what I do is I tend to thrift my frames. Occasionally I'll buy them new if I find them on a good price. But the problem is this design, the shape and size of it is slightly, it's more rectangle, right? So it's harder to find a good fit for it. So I might have to find a frame and then have Josh adjust it for me. I have not ventured into that myself. So this is Josh's birthday gift. He is a huge Lord of the Rings fan. One of the first times that I started to realize he liked me before we started dating was every week we worked at a camp in the winter time, and I worked there full time on staff, and he would come up every weekend to volunteer. And every weekend after the campers left on the Sunday afternoon, because it was just a quick weekend camp, like 48 hours, every Sunday afternoon, all the staff were exhausted. And so we would crash in a staff member's house and watch the next movie of the Lord of the Rings series, however long. And sometimes they're really long, so we'd only make it halfway through or something. So it lasted for several weeks. So anyway, Josh would watch before he would go home, and he had like a 3-hour drive. Well, what I noticed in a group of like, I don't know, 12 to 15 of us, usually most weeks, of watching, and I'm the person who asks questions. I've gotten better about not always asking questions, but I still ask a lot of questions. And so I would, oh, why are they doing that? Why is that happening? What just happened? Who is that person? And no matter where we were in the room, because Josh and I were not dating yet, Josh would chime up, oh, that's such and such. Oh, that's such and such. And instead of getting annoyed with me, he always had an answer for me about the Lord of the Rings. And now, was it because he liked me, or was it because he's obsessed with Lord of the Rings? The jury's out. But we did start dating a couple weeks after that. So, but this is for Josh's birthday. I loved this quote, and I thought, oh, it's very fitting. So it is stitched on a 14 count Aida that is a dark green. I don't have the name of the green anymore. So it is kind of hard. It's getting a lot of light coming through behind, but I wonder if I can hold something up behind it so it kind of, all right, we're going to hold another stitch behind it and see if that helps just block out some of that light. So it says, I would rather share one lifetime with you than face all the ages of this world alone. So this is a quote from one of the characters that is immortal, and I guess she chooses to give up her immortality to be with the man she loves that's not immortal, which, you know, I thought it wrapped up the sentiment of Lord of the Rings being significant to us getting together, as well as Josh. He rereads them every year. Like, he thoroughly loves them. So this pattern is not yet live in my Etsy shop, but will be. I was waiting till I could find a cool frame for it to get photos of it and stuff, but I'm not having any luck with the frame, so I might just stage it and go ahead and take photos and list the pattern. But it was a lot of fun to stitch. I am realizing I love to stitch letters and words. So the border is not crazy, but I thought it gave it just enough character. And yeah, this one was a lot of fun to stitch. And I made a new friend because of this pattern. So I went real wild, and I decided to stitch with 3 strands of floss, which I've never done before, but I just felt like it gave better coverage on the 14 count. And so this pattern only has 2 colors in it. And as you might imagine, I underestimated how much floss I would need of this cream color, which I believe is 739. And there was a stitcher who I heard about being in the same town as me through Canada Swaps chats. And Karen told me, oh, she's nearby you. And so she and I connected on Instagram and had chatted once, maybe, I think, before, about something totally random. And then I ran out of this floss, and I didn't have an opportunity to go to a store anytime soon at the time that would have more of it. And so she came through for me, and she had more. So she gave me a floss drop full of this 739, I think is what it is. And then I ran out again. So then I really, when we were on our way to one of Justin's appointments, I had to run in, and I got like 4 skeins of it just in case. So Betty, if you happen to see my channel and you happen to watch this, I've got a refill for you to replace the one that you gave to me so generously. So this was a lot of fun to stitch, and it made me a new cross stitch friend in the meantime. So hopefully maybe at some point she and I can get together and maybe stitch together. So anyway, so that will be in my shop, not when I launch this video, but probably in the next couple of days. And if you're really eager to stitch it, just send me a message and I can just email you the pattern. So anyway, that was really fun to get to stitch him for his birthday this year. And that is all of my finishes and fully finished items. So now I just have my pile of whips. I'm already at half an hour here, so I'm going to try to not be crazy long. So I have a sip of my tea while it's still hot. I have one whip that I have worked a lot on in the last 5 months. That is there's a lot of fill-in in it. It is a new design, so I'm not going to show it to you because it's not done. And this one, I just want to show it to you when it's all finished because I'm really excited about it. So I'm hoping maybe in the fall to share that with you. So that has taken a lot of my stitching time. But as you can see by my finishes, not all of my stitching time. So this is a pattern that I signed up for the Home Alone Sal. Again, still don't remember who was doing it. It's not my notes, but I'll put it on the screen or in the notes. So she sent a bonus at the end of the sal, and I did not complete the sal because I have learned about myself last year. I think I signed up for 3 sals or 2. Maybe just 2. I do not keep up with them. And I get bored and then want to come back later and stitch them, but I don't always enjoy doing them like constantly. Do you know what I mean? So some people I'm realizing are just not maybe sal people. So I'm learning that about myself. So anyway, this was a bonus pattern that went along with the Home Alone sal that wasn't part of the actual whole pattern. So this is Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal. So I started stitching this morning and had to pause for lunch and all of that, but it's a very quick little stitch. I don't know if you can get the pattern anywhere separately or not, but if you can, I will link it below. So it will say, Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal, by the time it's done, and have little Christmas lights where all these little green spots are. So if you're not familiar, this is a quote from a movie. And this is another one of those quotes that was famous in my household growing up. And I have a sibling who looked very much like Macaulay Culkin. And to the point where he could reenact some of the scenes and pretty much look just like him. Excuse me. And so this will be a perfect Christmas gift for him. So this is my, I think, number 6 of my Christmas ornaments that it's not quite finished yet, but it should be finished probably by the time I go to bed tonight because we're just resting today. And barring Little Bear not sleeping, if he naps, then this will get finished. So, but that is, I'm not doing the called for colors. I've just pulled some pretty green and red. And then I think there's some bulbs that are yellow too that I'll finish it with too. So that's one whip. And so then one thing I did have for haul that I had forgotten about until I was, organizing all my cross stitch stuff was I was at a thrift store and I found these pre-stamped cross stitch bookmarks. And they came with the floss and the pattern and all that. But I've never really seen stamped cross stitch patterns before. I knew they were out there. Because when I first started researching about cross stitch, I saw it on Amazon and stuff. But so basically, they stamp the pattern on there and then they give you like a little, a pattern, but I find the pattern that came with this kit isn't the best quality. It's kind of hard to tell what color it's telling me to use where. So I'm just kind of best guessing, but I'm finding, I've only worked on this a little bit, but you can, and it's kind of hard to see because there's already, like I haven't stitched that yet, but it almost looks like it. But down here you can see more of where I've started to stitch. There's 2 dimension here. So a little bit of the blue and the flowers. So these are just kind of mindless, to be honest, which is really nice when I'm, Justin's playing in his water table and he doesn't need me, but I need to be right there. So this is a nice one. And then I was stitching the little orange flowers and I had a little extra of the orange. I didn't want to just toss the thread. So I just found another one that called for this orange and put it on the roof line here. So that's all I've done. Same thing with the yellow. So these, there's like 4 or 5 more in the bag that I found at the thrift store for $1. So at some point I'll just keep working on these. And this one kind of reminds me of Latin America when I spent time in El Salvador and Nicaragua. My dad's in Peru right now on a mission trip, so maybe at some point I will finish this one and send it to him. But now more I look at it, it almost looks more like an Italian landscape. So I don't know. But my dad's side of the family, one of his sides is also Italian, so it would fit either way. So this one might go in his Christmas gift. You could kind of make that into an ornament. It'd be really long. My dad keeps his Christmas tree up year round. It's been up for probably 3 or 4 years now, I think. I don't think he's taken it down. Even when he moved, I think he just brought it over. So, which I actually kind of love. And have joked with Josh about doing for years. So the fact that my dad actually does it kind of makes me laugh. But so maybe something like this would be fun to hang on his tree. But anyway, so those I've just done a tiny bit of stitching on, and they're just kind of fun, mindless. Yeah. So this is My Soul Finds Rest in God Alone, which I believe is from Allison at A New Creation Studio. My goodness, my brain is having to work hard to remember anything today. So I have been working on this for, I think, a year maybe. It doesn't get touched as often as I would like, but one thing I was waiting on was to get some floss for it that it was calling for, some of the greens. So I was able to get those at Stitch It Central, and it is not far from done. I would have to look on my iPad to see on, I've been using, guys, sorry, I don't remember, the stitch program that counts all your stitches. Oh, my dog sees another dog. It's okay, Sadie. She loves romping around the backyard, but anytime certain dogs walk past, she's got to let them know she's there. So, I think it probably is 75 to 80% done. There's not a lot left, just the vining around and some of the greenery and the little blue flowers on this side. And I don't think there's much left after that. So this is for a gift for a friend that I will send down to the US. So I would love to finish it. I don't know, maybe by Christmas would be nice, but I am not setting any strict goals just with this season of life. But it's been really pretty to see come to life. So I'm a big fan of Allison's patterns. I stitched, as you would have seen on some of my older Flosstubes, or earlier this year, I guess. And on my Instagram, I've stitched some of her Christmas ornaments for friends, and her patterns are always so lovely. The next one I have is Martha's Sampler, which is my pattern that I designed from Grandma's embroidery / cross stitch / all the different kind of stitches that I don't know how to do. Her big sampler that she did in 1946, I think it was, when she still lived in Holland. So she came over just after the war, and she was a special lady. She's been passed a little while now, and so I asked my mother-in-law, she has the original big stitching that Grandma did in high school to show her abilities of what she could stitch. So she has the original, and I charted it into Grandma's pattern. I have a video that talks about it, all that, but I am slowly working my way up. So I started from the bottom, and I am now in this fun motif here. Just turn this here, and it has like these candles, and then there's like a star flower kind of thing here that you'll see. So this color is really faint, but I ran out of that and have not gotten back to the store to replace it this week. So I've just made my way on up and started onto the blue lines up here. So basically, if you've seen this pattern before, or if I can get a picture on the screen, after this band, I believe it starts to get into a lot of rows like this, but they're not quite as complex as some of these. And they're just row after row after row after row, because they were all different lines showing her abilities stitching different types of stitches. And then there's some work to be done still over here around the farm scene with the horse, some fill in here. And then there's some fill in because there's a bird in this section here, and then her initials and the year. So I am going to still put her initials but I might add my initials somewhere tiny in there, just so they're in there with Grandma. So Grandma was an immigrant to Canada, a feisty lady, very creative. She was a sewer, played cards, like she was a funny lady. So this has been a fun way to enjoy those memories and honor her. And I stuck as close to the original colors as I could. If you see, I've talked about it before. Let me try again. I saw the pattern on my Etsy shop, but there's a monochromatic version as well that the pattern's slightly tweaked because it's like the negatives of some of the space, like on some of the design. But Amy at Renewing Stitches is stitching that in a variegated set of blue. And it is, what I've seen is stunning. I haven't seen it in like probably 3 months. Not that she's not shown it, but because I am so behind on Flosstube. So I'll have to go and hunt it down to try to see where she's at with it in the last while. Because it's been so fun to see it being stitched by someone else in the blues. Because I had originally thought maybe I wanted to stitch it in blue, like for the Delft blue, like the Dutch blue. But I wanted Josh to have a version because he grew up seeing it in the same colors he grew up with. So that is really fun to see it coming to life. I'm really pleased with how it's turning out. And yeah, so then the next one is it's a start, but it might also be a starting over. I'm not sure. Because I'm notorious for, I could snag a little bit of fabric off that big swath of fabric, and then you end up with a mess like this because my brain. So what I'm not sure about is if I've left myself enough room, because I didn't realize that I had something else going on this fabric. I didn't even notice it when I cut a swath off it for a different project. So this is my start on an Andy Warhol pattern. It's a pattern made after one of his paintings. Amy and I are doing it from Renewing Stitches, and she's tweaked it a little bit to make it custom for her. Excuse me. I've left it, I believe, all the called for colors except for like 2 or 3. So this is my start, and it is not a big start, but this is the puppy, the bottom of the puppy. But what I'm not sure about is if I left myself, because I took a cut from this fabric for something else, and I'm not sure if I left myself enough room or not. I think height-wise there is. This is chaos. Sorry, guys. So wrinkly. But I don't know if I left myself enough room to the side. So I had gotten away from this bad habit of doing this. But I was in a hurry, needed some fabric for something, was headed out the door probably. And yeah. So I'm not sure, excuse me, if it will be a restart or if, looking at it now though, it might be enough fabric still. Might just have to start it again on the same fabric in a different spot. We'll see. My poor tea. I keep forgetting it's there until I start coughing. This one is a fun little freebie that I found. Oh, this one, guys, I actually have the sticker from 123 Stitch of what the fabric is. So this is 32 count antique white Belfast linen. This was a mistake. I did not mean to order it. I don't even know how it ended up in my cart. I've never stitched on linen before, but I don't mind it. So that was a nice surprise. The pattern is a freebie from another magazine that I'll put the details on for you. So it is coming along. I know it's only July, but it's been so hot that I'm kind of craving autumn. And now growing up in the South, school would end end of May, sometimes the 3rd week of May if it had been like a mild winter, and then school went back like the 7th or 8th of August. So in my brain, we are getting to the end of summer and it is time to start gearing up for school, which in Canada, and probably some of the northern states as well, but in Canada, school gets out like almost end of June and doesn't go back till after Labor Day. So you would think I would have adjusted by now, but it's still ingrained in me. July starts rolling to an end and my brain's like, time to start preparing for schools, time to start preparing for autumn and whatever. So anyway, I'm not really that far ahead of the curve, but so there's going to be a teapot here that has fall foliage coming out of it. And I don't remember the name of the pattern, but yeah, it's been fun to stitch. And that will probably just be a cute little small that I will put on display. I have a little tiered tower that I change out sometimes. So this one was my biggest project that I took on at the beginning of my stitching journey. So like 2 or 3 months into learning to cross stitch and like getting into it, I took on 100 owls from Owl Forest Embroidery, and I thought I was going to stitch an owl or 2 a week and, you know, have this done from one birthday to the next. Nope. But I'm enjoying it still nonetheless. It comes out on occasions. So I'm just trying to find a way to show you here. This is my progress here. This tree down below. Guys, I can't hold anything. Okay, let me try this again. There we go. Okay, so this tree and this little owl and all of these little owls on it, and then a partial owl, is what I've added since. So it is coming along, and I still enjoy stitching on it every time it comes out. It's just I forget about it, and I do a lot of project stitching for gifts and such, so it just takes a back burner. This stitch, I will not frame myself. When it is finished, it will be taken to a professional framer. So it'll probably be my first stitch that ever gets professionally framed. So every time I pull it out, I love working on it. I need to pull it out more often because when I was working on that little tree, I realized how much I really do enjoy it. So this is my Woman in a Field of Flowers stitch. I did go ahead and switch patterns. I had started with a different one, and although it was beautiful, it just was not, it was not the one I had originally wanted. And I talk about that in another episode or whatever, and some of you guys encouraged me, just go with the one that you really want to stitch because it's a full coverage, massive stitch. You know, the likelihood of me stitching 2 of these is not almost likely at all. If we even finish this one day, we'll be amazed. So anyway, I have finished, I think, the first page in a bit. I am not doing the black background fill-in at all. I will, if I change my mind at the end, I'll let you know and I'll go back and do it, but I don't think I'm going to. So that's why I chose a dark fabric. And this is the first page done minus the black. And I think I'm happy with it because this is the edge of the underside of her dress, like the shadowing. And then this is like some foliage from a plant. I think I am missing 1 color or 2 colors that has a fair bit more of stitching still in here from that page. That somehow the pattern comes with, like, I think it calls for like 120 colors or something. And I bought all of them, but I missed a few in there. So I'm noticing that that page had some. So I'm partway into the second page, got me over to here. And you can start to see, when you see the photo of it, you can start to see this is the underside of the curve of her dress because it's kind of flowing and moving or has movement. So this is going to be an absolutely massive project, as you can see here. How big this fabric is. So the fabric might be a little bigger than I needed. I don't remember. Honestly, this is not usually the type of pattern I am drawn to, but when I saw it 2 years ago now, maybe, I felt something inside me that was like, I know her. I need to stitch her. So, yeah, I haven't picked it up in a bit, but I am enjoying it. And this fabric is Night Sky on 18 count Ada cotton, and it is a fat half, and it is fiber on a whim. So I have a long way to go, and you're going to be seeing that for the rest of my life probably, but maybe one day we'll get into more of the yellows and you can see more of the dress. And then the last one I'm stitching, okay, it's a lot of fill-in, but I love the vibrant colors, and I'm gonna frame it and put it either in my kitchen or in my pantry with all my canning. So that's another part of where I've been this summer, is gardening, and then blueberry picking, and yesterday I was raspberry picking, and now just starting to get into canning for this season. So like I can things like chickpeas because I buy them bulk and then soak them and can them, and you know, it's still cheaper than buying canned chickpeas, and then you don't have the metal lining. Anyway, that's a whole other hobby, but basically canning that kind of thing. And now we're getting into canning fresh stuff from our garden and from local farms and gardens. So this, I feel, is right up the alley. This is a pattern I saw a year or two ago, I think a year ago maybe, in another cross stitch magazine, and I will post a photo of what the whole pattern looks like. and what it's called, but I finished my first jar of preserves, and I've never had apricot anything, I don't think. Just apricots themselves, but I've never had a jam or jelly or conserve. I've also never seen that word used with jams and jellies. Preserve, but not conserve. So I'm curious, maybe that's a regional thing or an old-timey thing. Or so this one will be blueberry, and then this one is the start of something strawberry, I think. So there'll be a ton of other jam jars and stuff, but it's so fun to see this one come to life. I've actually really enjoyed it. So that is the last of my whips, and that is all I have for you, friends. And I'm almost to an hour, so that's probably more than enough. I am really happy to be back. I'm glad I could find some time to carve out and do this, as I'm still stitching. I'm still here. I'm still trying to catch up. I was trying to think who I've been watching. Still regularly get to catch up on Darlene's videos when she puts them out from Darlene Dion Designs. Helen D's Stitching, or Helen D Stitch. I always try to catch whatever she's doing. And she's got great finishing videos as well that I always learn something. Karen the Stitching Owl. Occasionally I get to catch one of Amy from Renewing Stitches. Karen the Stitching Owl gave such a sweet little shout out to my little boy, so thank you, Karen. Justin loved watching when you played the song for him, so he absolutely loves anytime your piano music comes on. He stops whatever he's playing with to watch. I'm trying to think. I think I found some other new ones recently, but I'm not remembering what they were off the top of my head. And if I try to sit here and list them, I won't remember. So if I remember them, I'll throw them down in the description box. If not, maybe I'll take a note for next time. But I hope to be back much sooner than 5.5 months next time. But if not, I hope you enjoy your stitching, and I'm really glad that we could catch up today. And yeah, I'll see you next time, friends. Bye.